Hello, and welcome to MathPac version 5.0 using the new DrawInverse feature and HideLabels feature. We begin from the home screen by clicking on Equations and Graphs, and that will bring up, of course, the Equations and Graphs editor, and I'm going to pick a nice function, just say the sine of x. That's easy to type in. And when you click on the spinner button, we've added a new option. You'll notice now that you'll see this one down here, second from the bottom, f inverse x. Well, that's the inverse function. And if you click on that, you will not only see the function you've asked for, but you'll also see the inverse function drawn. And so I'm going to click on Menu, then Graph, and you'll notice that the original function that I asked for, sine x, is in this pretty blue color, and the inverse function to that, this is f inverse sine x, is the off-white or the light gray line here, and it does work. You can zoom in, you can drag it around. It's just like if you had typed it in. And so I noticed that several people asked me for a DrawInverse, and so I put one in here. And in fact, you can use it the same way you use any other thing. Now, you can't evaluate the inverse function because you didn't actually type it in, but it does show up. It is visible for you, so that you can actually see what it looks like, and you can drag it in. You can zoom in on it. You can zoom out. You can pan around. Whatever you want to do, it'll always be there. It'll persist. And so, and of course that works for any function, not just sine function. Any function you want to type in, it shows you that inverse function. So let me back up here and just type in something different. Let's just say we have, for example, x to the third. There's another nice function, and you see I still have it set to DrawInverse. So when I click Graph, I will see the original function in blue right here, and you'll notice that I see the inverse function in this light gray. And so, and like I said, you can zoom in, and the inverse function will continue to draw until you turn it off. So I think that's a nice feature. A lot of times you'll want to see the inverse function. At least you'll want to know what it looks like. And you do notice that it is the mirror image about the line y equals x. So if I drew a diagonal straight through this picture from the lower left to the upper right and folded the picture over from corner to corner, that is the inverse function. And you can see that very clearly here, the gray line versus the blue line. Something else we've added in this particular version is if you're in the Equations and Graphs editor and you click on the menu button, you'll notice that I have something called HideLabels. And so if you click on the HideLabels, when you graph it, you will see the graph. However, you won't see the function show up. You can still evaluate it by touching and holding. You can still calculate anything you want to calculate. The answers will still show up here in the bottom. It's just that you have turned off the function label. So, like if you want to quiz yourself and or quiz a friend and see, well, what function are we looking at? You can turn off the labels. So that's the reason I put it in. Actually, you can turn it on and off, at your discretion. And of course you can still pan around or trace and all that stuff. You can still save screenshots, and if you save the screenshot, the inverse will show up. The labels will not show up if they're turned off. If they're turned on, of course they will show up. The screenshot's exactly what you see. And so again, from the Equations and Graphs editor, you have a new option to show or hide labels. The default is to show them. You can turn them off if you want. And the new feature on the spinner is this DrawInverse. You don't have to use it, but if you want to, it's there for you. And this will end the session. Let me just pull this graph back one time. Without the inverse function, there it is, and with the labels back on. And if you want to use this, that's why I put it there for you. This will end the session on DrawInverse and show function labels.